Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at a Pokemon I wanted to build for a long time. We're going to take a look at Shadow Tyranitar. This is a Pokemon that is actually really cool right now to use, and you're going to see in today's video why this is the case. I actually went 16-4 with this team. I was in a little bit of lower elo because I played this team after I played the triple highest attack line, which definitely tanked my elo by quite a bit. So that's kind of something for that, of course, but still, I went super crazy with this team, even though like we're going to have a double weakness against a water type Pokemon, where it's basically only one water type Pokemon really that's commonly used in the Master League, even though it's even not that commonly used, which is going to be of course the Kyogre. But otherwise, we're going to have a great time against most picks here for the Master League with this team. So I'm definitely totally fine getting this weakness, a double weakness against the water typing, but still going to be able to come back in a lot of time against Kyogre as well. I actually encountered way more Kyogre than I usually would encounter, which is also kind of funny. I barely see them nowadays, or like in general, but it could be also something that just because of the elo range or something like this. But otherwise, this Pokemon itself, the Tyranitar, is a very cool pick right now. You're going to be able to completely hardwall the Lugia, like you're going to be able to completely destroy the Ho-Oh. And there are a lot of other picks, as you're going to see in today's video as well, where you're going to have a great time with it. And here we're going to now have the Zekrom against our Groudon. Groudon, honestly, such a strong Pokemon. I wish I had a 15 attack variant of this Pokemon, but maybe we're gonna get it later on anyway in raids again, I think, for the Go Fest. Maybe I'm going to be able to even get a better one for this here right now, because I kind of wish I would have like a shiny with 15 attack. That would be kind of cooler. But now we're going to still see that Groudon can just mess up this Ho-Oh, which is kind of funny. You sometimes underestimate how much damage a resisted Precious Blade can do, but here we will be able to win this game. This was actually, I think, the first game that I played with this team, which was against the Kyogre, so that was kind of awkward. But I can try to go ahead and go for a bait move here, and it does not work out at all. So that was great already, right? I'm going to use a shield here right now, but now I'm kind of committed, and I'm going to be committed for the bait. Let's see if this time around it works, and it does, which is going to be very nice. Now we're at least going to get a shield, and I can still get for another one here right now, but I don't know if this was worth it. It was not, but it's going to be a CMP toy, so it's totally fine here, as now we will be able to just get into our Dialga, get a ton of farm. The opponent doesn't even get to another charge move here, and we will have a lot of energy, which we can use against the opponent's Dialga right now. I'm just going to go for the safe route here. I'm going to be able to go for the Iron Head, which is going to put them into range where I can just farm them down with my Dragon Breath. We have the breakpoint against the opponent because we have a best buddy variant here. They're going to go for the Draco Media, and I'm going to swap immediately as they're going to get out the opponent's Togekiss. I can even go for the Stone Edge here, which is definitely going to get the knockout, but I also have an Iron Head stored onto my own Dialga, which will be enough to knock them out and will be enough to win us this game, as we can now farm down the opponent's Dialga, and this is going to be it for this one. You will not see a lot of losses today because there were not a lot of losses, so that's totally fine. Another Pokemon here though in general that's going to be a little tricky is the Togekiss, because our lead does not really want to face it that much, and also Dialga, Dragon Breath, double resisted, at least Iron Head is super effective, and of course it does super effective damage against our Tyranitar in the back, so it can be a tricky Pokemon to deal with. But here right now we're going to let this move go through, go into our Tyranitar and farm them all the way down, as you're gonna get the full farm done here actually. And now we have a shield advantage, but still we kind of get hardwalled the entire time here, as they're going to actually run the double Iron Bash, which is interesting. I'm going to swap out, and of course you're going to even get harder answered here with the Kyogre in the back. This is not looking good for us. Can we still come back from it? We're at least going to be able to hit the actual move here, which is nice. And I'm going to be forced to use a shield against the opponent, but it's going to be a close one. They're going to go for the Origin Pulse, which is a complete overkill unless they run Origin Pulse plus Thunder, like double nuke or something like this. But no, we're going to still be able to knock out the opponent's Kyogre, but sadly, as you see right now, I'm not going to be able to go for another charge move, and the opponent now going to have basically their next charge move stored already. The Brutal Swing does some decent damage here. Brutal Swing, a new move for the season, which is going to help this Pokemon out a little bit. It's a little bit better than Crunch for sure for this Pokemon. But now we're going to take a look at the next game coming up. We're going to have a Groudon against our Groudon, which is fairly decent for us. We're going to see the Lugia swapping in. Great play by the opponent here, but of course we have the best answer for Lugia in the back. In hindsight, I should have stayed in a little bit longer with my Groudon, getting energy back, because this Lugia will not have the greatest time against our what's called our Tyranitar anyway. We're going to just be able to farm them all the way down. And now we have two moves stored. The opponent has a move stored onto the Groudon. I'm going to use a shield here if it's a Precious Blade. I rather want to shield it, but they're actually going to go for the bait, which would have knocked us out because you would have resisted this move here. So we're going to now be able to at least hit the Brutal Swing, which does a ton of damage against the opponent. Stab, Shadow, Brutal Swing is just very, very brutal, as we're going to be able to actually hit the Brutal Swing after all 5 fast move, which is really nice for us as well. That's why it's also better than Crunch. The fast move Smackdown should generate, I think, 8 energy per usage, so 5 times using this gives you 40 energy, exactly what you need for Brutal Swing, which is really cool to see, so definitely an upgrade for this Pokemon. But now we're going to have here the what's called the Dragonite going for a superpower, but this is actually very nice sauce that they went for that, because now we're going to be able to take another move here. But also, there should be in range for a Precious Blade now, thanks to the debuff, which is kind of wild. This is double resisted here, but still, it does so much damage that we can just farm him down afterwards. And one more Fire Punch is all it takes to knock out the opponent's Groudon, and we will be able to win this game. Let's take a look at the next game. We're going to have now the Dialga against the Groudon. Great lead for us, as they're going to go ahead and go into the Mewtwo. Usually, you're going to be able to hard-wall Mewtwo, and also this Mewtwo going to get hard-walled, as they only have Shadow Ball as well as the Side Strike, which will allow us to just completely knock out the opponent there. There's nothing they can do about it. We can just completely destroy them, and they go back into their Dialga. Having to take another charge move from our Tyranitar is going to be very nice for us as well, putting them into Fire Punch range now with a little bit more extra damage, which is really nice. But you could also go ahead and go into the Dialga, but I didn't go for it. I just went straight into my Groudon, take the shield there, and we see of course also why I did this. We're going to have here the Kyogre in the back, which is really nice for us, because now we can finally hard counter this Pokemon with our Dialga. I'm going to use a shield as this Origin Pulse, and now we're going to be able to farm up to 2 Iron Heads, and there's nothing the opponent can do anymore. The opponent's Dialga is just too low on health that there is nothing they can do. I can just go ahead, fully farm down the opponent's Kyogre here as well, and this is looking really nice for us. Let's take a look at this move. It's going to be most likely the Origin Pulse again. They can knock us out, but here, one Fire Punch is all it takes to knock out the Dialga, and we can now knock out the opponent's Kyogre as well with another Fire Punch from our Groudon. And Groudon, honestly, such a sick Pokemon. I hope that you definitely get a decent one when we have the primal raids back for this next upcoming weekend. Going to be an exciting weekend. I'm actually really excited for the Go Fest. Can't wait to get some more shinies, can't wait to get some more starters especially. But here we're going to now see the Lugia going for another Sky Attack, but we're going to have, of course, our Brutal Swing for our own Tyranitar, and we can actually, it doesn't even matter if we're going to win this matchup or not, we can just let this move go through. We can basically force 2 shields from the opponent, which makes this matchup so nice as a Tyranitar. And also, you saw me going for an extra fast move, which now would allow, if they would have let this go through, which they don't, that I would be less farm for the opponent, whatever they want to swap in there, which would be nice. But like this, we have a 2 shield advantage and an insane energy advantage onto our Dialga. In comes their Dialga. Out comes their Dialga, because it's going to knock them out straight away. Now with a 2 shield advantage against a Kyogre, like even our Groudon, is going to be totally fine here. And honestly, just because our Tyranitar was so nice against this Lugia, was so easy to knock them out there, and we will be able to now just go ahead, go for the Fire Punch, knock out the opponent's Kyogre with a few more fast moves, and this is going to be it. Let's take a look at the next game. We have a Zacian against us in the lead. This is also a fairly neutral lead for us, so I'm definitely going to stay in here, and one Precious Blade going to do a ton of damage against the opponent. This is going to do some very decent damage if they didn't shield this move up, but they did shield, and like this, I'm going to let this mixed move go through. It's going to be a close combat, and they're definitely in range where one Precious Blade is going to knock them out straight away. So this is going to be an interesting one. Maybe they want to swap out, and they want to swap out into another Lugia, into another matchup against a Tyranitar right now, which will allow us to go for a Stone Edge here before they even get to their charge move, which is very nice for us, as they are now forced to shield. I'm going to let this move go through because I don't have to shield. It's going to be the Aeroblast, but I should have went for the Brutal Swing then, because now they can actually farm me down. But speaking of farming down, I can do the same against them and get up to an Iron Head nearly against the opponent's Zacian, which is going to be amazing for us. I still don't think it does knock them out. I think they're still surviving this, but one more Fire Punch is all it takes to knock them out here right now. So now it depends what do they have in the back. It's going to be their own Groudon, and this is game over because we have so much energy. We have a shield advantage, we have 2 Pokemon. They are so far behind, and they have nowhere to go, as this Fire Punch is coming through, going to hopefully knock out the opponent against Groudon, and this is going to be it, as we can now move on into the next game. Going to be a great lead for us again, Dialga against Groudon. A lot of Dialga leads right now, but in comes now the Giratina, and of course we have our best friend for the Giratina, the Shadow Tyranitar. I see some people actually running Bite on Shadow Tyranitar, which can flip matchups against something like a Dialga, but in general, I just rather go for Smackdown, which is a more neutral move and a little bit of a better move in general compared to Bite. So that's definitely how I play it, at least. Like, you can definitely also use the other move if you want to. But here we're going to get the opponent into range for 1-press Blade, easily going to knock them out anyway, but we're going to have a crazy energy advantage anyway. But sadly, we are having now a CMP tie here right now, which is really bad for me, as now I kind of would like to undercharge it a little bit, but I didn't go for it because I didn't know how much I can underfarm there. But we're gonna get out now the Togekiss, and now it comes down to basically just if the opponent can boost up with the Ancient Power or not. If they can get the boost with the Ancient Power, this might be a little bit of a difficult one for us, but if not, we should be fine here. One Iron Head should nearly knock them out from this range. Let's see, not the 10% chance this time around, and we will be able to go for an Iron Head, which is all it takes to knock out the opponent's Togekiss, and we can move on into the next game here right now. This would be a great lead, or like a great Pokemon for our Tyranitar, but we can still swap out into our Dialga, and I'm going to use a shield here because it's going to be a guaranteed Shadow Ball, which does around 60% damage, and this is definitely a shield that's worth it to invest in. But in comes now their own Dialga, which will allow me to go for an Iron Head. They're going to let this move go through, and I will get to another one, forcing a shield from the opponent now. And I guess that's totally fine for me, but actually I can realign, which is even better. But what is a little bit worse is that they're going to still have a Kyogre in the back. I have nowhere to go here, sadly. The opponent got so much farm, they have 2 shields left. I'm forced to let this move go through, and there is the only chance here right now is if they're going to let this move go through for whatever reason, which they don't, and this is going to be a good game now. Because sadly the opponent had like the perfect opportunity to farm down my Dialga with their Kyogre without even having to shield, and this is just too much for this team to handle. If a Kyogre gets rid of the Dialga as well as getting a ton of energy against a rock and a ground type Pokemon, it is just not the best matchup. Let's take a look at the next team here. We're going to have a Zacian against us in the lead, allowing us to go for the Presso's Blade again, which will do a ton of damage against the opponent. This is going to actually go through immediately, which is really cool for us, because now we can only go for Fire Punch, which makes this way better for us. But we're going to have to invest a shield here right now as well, if we want to keep our Groudon alive, and I do want to keep my Groudon alive, as they're going to swap out into a Zekrom, allowing me to go for a bait first. This is going to be so nice for me, as I get the shield, and I can even go for another charge move here, which will get also shielded, which means we are going to have now 2 shield advantage, like 1 shield advantage here, which you're going to lose immediately, as I'm going to use a shield against the opponent here. If they have Outrage, it is definitely worth it. They only have Crunch, so we're going to take this next move as well, but we're gonna get out of this matchup with a ton of energy, and we know already that the Zacian doesn't really have any energy, so now it depends on what they're going to have here. Let's see what's coming in. It's going to be the opponent's Dialga. I expect them to swap out. It did not work out, and we don't even see the Tyranitar in this game here, even though it was like a kind of neutral one because the opponent going to forfeit. As our Dialga, we're able to get so much energy there. Very nice for us. Next one, we're going to have another Groudon in the lead. Also, honestly, I use Groudon mainly in the lead for my teams. I really wish I had a 15 attack variant, because then it wouldn't be like a CMP tie issue really. But yeah, maybe someday I'm gonna get a better one. As I'm still waiting for a Shundo from a raid. Like, let me know in the comment section how many Shundos you have. I have 5 in total. 1 from trade, I think 3 from an egg, and 1 from Go Battle League. I think that's basically it. So yeah, I was really lucky with like egg luck, but they were all basically nearly back to back actually, which was kind of wild. I haven't got like a Shundo, I think, for like 2 years, 3 years or something. But yeah, I'm still waiting for my first one from raids. I did like a ton of raids already, of course, throughout my Pokemon Go career, especially since I started doing YouTube and basically got the funds for it. Because for me, I kind of have to do raids in order to do content for example, Master League. You see me having all the legendary Pokemon built, because yeah, at the end of the day, it's business expenses, which is kind of wild because I'm literally playing a tap-tap game. But this tap-tap game just allowed me to swap into a Crunch into my Groudon, which is really nice, as now we can smack them down with our Tyranitar, and Tyranitar now only has a Lugia to face, and this Lugia will not like this Brutal Swing into this phase, so we're going to be able to knock them out here with 2 Brutal Swings, and we can now take a look at the final game of today's video, which is going to be the Dragonite in the lead. Very bad lead for us. superpowers. Let's see if we can come back from it. We can swap into our Dialga, which will allow us to get some energy advantage, but my opponent makes a weird play. They would get to the superpower beforehand, which I would be forced to shield, but I guess they built up to 2 superpowers here right now, which I'm going to say, okay, I'm just going to take them. But they're actually going to go for a Dragon Claw, and like this I can actually realign, which is even better. The opponent's Dragonite gonna be down there now, and we will be able to switch up our Pokemon. We can perfectly align our Pokemon, and we're going to see now the Mewtwo coming in. Amazing for our Pokemon in the back there, but I was too late in throwing the charge move here. This was my own mistake there for sure, but at least I can still align my Tyranitar, and look at this Smackdown damage. Also, the opponent going to be forced to shield this move up if they want to keep their Mewtwo alive. But no, they actually swapped into a Reshiram, which I didn't see at all. And almost I should have stayed in with my Tyranitar and just smacked them down. But I go into my Groudon and knock them out with this. And like this, the opponent's Mewtwo has no chance here to win this game. Side Strike is not even going to knock me out here. But one more Smackdown is all it takes. And that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this video for Shadow Tyranitar, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye bye.